Hi, my name is Rick Voigthofer. I'll be your instructor for 8295 Applied Instructional Design. This is a little introductory video for you. I'm going to be going over the class. In this video, I thought it might be fun to start the video outside. So in April, when the class is done, we can remember the cold and snowy days we had in January. I'm excited about the class, and so let's go inside now, and we'll continue to go over the syllabus.
Well, that's a little warmer. So let's start by going over the Carmen site. Just wanted to give you an orientation. We'll go over some of the links here, and then we'll go over the syllabus. So if we start right across the top, this is where you can find your grades in the grade book. I'm sure you've seen this a number of times. Next to that will be the Dropbox. So if there's things to turn in, that's where you'll be turning them into. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because you've used these, I know at the very least, in the last class that you took for the endorsement, 6273. And then groups, something you may not be familiar with. For at least Activity 3, you're going to be divided into groups of 2 and giving each other feedback for various parts of that project, which I'll be talking about shortly. So here's where you can go and see which group that you're in. The content link is next. Again, that's one I think you're familiar with. So right now you'll see week 1 is posted. You'll also see some course resources. Right now that's mainly just the syllabus. So I'll also create a link on the home page to the syllabus, and some webinar MOOC resources, which I'll talk about when I go over the syllabus. So again, probably the place to start after looking at this video is the Activity 1, which can be found under Week 1. And just go right to the very beginning where it says Activity 1 description, and there's a couple of videos in there that give you a little bit more information and elaboration about what you'll be doing, having to do with reading educational research. Those videos will look a little bit different because they were done with a previous version of Carmen, but basically the information will be the same. This video is actually brand new for January 2014, so everything you see here is what you'll be seeing when you go to the course. So that's the content area. Again, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but I'll be activating the weeks in advance. But this week 1 activity I think will keep you busy. The first thing is due a week from Monday, Activity 1. The next thing across the top is the wiki. Activities 1 and 2 will use a course wiki, and if you look at the course description, the activity description, I should say, you'll get some instruction about how to use it, and so you'll see Activity 1, Reading Educational Research, right there, so you can click on that and go into the first activity. I would try to click on that fairly soon in the week, so you can make sure that you can actually hit the edit button and make sure that that's set up. Sometimes there's permission issues, and I just assume that you test that out earlier in the week so we can get them straightened out if there isn't. The wiki has been integrated more into Carmen now. They call it Carmen Wiki, and there's always something a little bit different when they do things like that. So let's again see if we can work those out earlier than later. We'll have 5 Adobe Connect sessions during the semester, and in order to do that, you'll just go and you'll click on this link. I won't do that now, but it'll load, and I know you did this last semester. If you don't have a USB microphone, please let me know, or a headset. That would be helpful for me to know ahead of time. And then the discussion board, which we'll use again for Activity 2. Your groups will have access to your own area of the discussion board, and we'll be talking much more about that in the coming weeks. There's no need to go into that right now. So I think that is everything in terms of the Carmen site. I'll post updates, things like that. Invariably in a class, we'll have to make some modifications. We'll have to tweak things, and that's where they'll all be announced here in the news area. So that's the Carmen class. Next up, I'm going to close this window, and we're going to go through the syllabus. And I'll start from the top and just go through. Some of these things will be redundant. So first thing is email is probably the best way to get a hold of me, but I've also given you my cell number here in case you have some issues before a Connect session, getting connected. You can give me a call and we can see if we can work out those particular problems. The office hours will be online, so we'll probably meet through Connect, but if you're in the area and would like to meet on campus, that would be fine too. And so just let me know and we can set that up. Here's a direct link to our Connect session in case that would be helpful to you. And then there's a link to Carmen, but if you're viewing this video, you already know how to use Carmen. And then just moving through here, talk a little bit about what we covered what you covered with Dr. Shea in the first course, things like TPAC, diversity, going through the understanding by design and structural design model, assistive technologies, the flipped classroom. You also, I think, did some work with teaching online, and we're going to be building upon that as you go through this course. Something that is new in this year is the standards that that we need to adhere to, which you'll be tested on when you do the state assessment after you've completed your coursework. And that really focuses on the notion of coaching teachers to integrate technology. And so we'll be talking a lot more about that this semester and integrating that into the course. So I don't necessarily need to read through all the objectives. You can do that yourself. I think probably what would be most helpful is if I went through the various weeks and the topics and the projects, just to give you, again, a basic sense of what's going to happen. So week 1, starting on Monday, is the wiki activity that I mentioned previously, using research to drive educational choices. And that's going to teach you about reading research as a critical practitioner and how you might be able to utilize that to make decisions about helping other teachers and helping yourself about the use of technology in teaching. And you'll be posting something to the wiki by Monday. Most everything is due on Monday at midnight, so you'll see that's a pretty consistent due date. The second week which will be a continuation, we'll talk about the idea of data-driven decision making. In other words, what data can you collect to make a choice about what technology to use, what pedagogy to select in relationship to a particular classroom or school, and what that data, once you have it, what that can and can't tell you. And we'll be doing a case study around that, which will also be posted to the wiki. In week 3 will be an introduction to coaching and just essentially some best practices, and we'll have an activity around that, which will be an introduction to Project 3, which is essentially developing, and this will be your largest project for the course, designing a coaching professional development experience for a set of teachers around technology. Again, there'll be a lot more information about that once we get there, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that project in the syllabus. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to break it down into 3 different stages according to the understanding by design stages. So essentially what you'll do is, well, you also see in week 4 that you'll be attending your first Connect session. I'll be explaining the project then, and I'll be answering any particular questions about it at that point. And then after you finish the first stage, you'll post it, and then you'll give your group member, your partner, feedback about that. Excuse me. And we'll go through that process for the coming 4 or 5 weeks. So then you'll do stage 2, turn that in, and then you'll be giving and getting feedback. You'll expect it to, as you go through these, take the feedback from the previous stage into consideration. And so by the end, you'll have gotten feedback, and you'll create a complete document that you'll then upload to the Dropbox. You'll upload that to TK20. And so I'm not sure if you were introduced to TK20 or not in the previous course, but we'll be spending some time there and posting a few things to it during this class. So you can see there on week 10 that you'll be finishing up your design, your coaching design project, activity 3, and we'll also have a Connect session that will address how to use TK20 and whatnot. Then we'll have spring break. Then we'll do a project on computer ergonomics, classroom and lab design. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll do a couple of weeks on computer infrastructure, things like storage, networking, preventive maintenance, and software, things that you're likely to encounter in a school environment. And we'll start at a very basic level, and those of you that have more advanced computer knowledge that will probably be able to breeze through some of it, but I don't want to assume any knowledge either, so I start at a very rudimentary level. Excuse me one second, I'm going to go close the door so my heater isn't too loud. So one moment. So those, I think, will be the last 2, and then we will have a final session on working our TK20 portfolio to get things set up so you can start to continue to work on that. So when you're done with your coursework, hopefully you'll be essentially done with your portfolio. And then in the final week, we'll have a course wrap-up. So that's essentially the class. These activities are described in a little bit more detail here in the syllabus, but I always provide much more detailed descriptions in Carmen. So this is just meant to give you a sense of it, so that I don't want you to look at this and think, well, this doesn't tell me much about what to do. You'll get quite detailed instruction, as you'll see in week 1. You'll see in activity 4, actually that should be, let's see. Oh no, that is activity 4, which I've been calling activity 3. So that's actually activity 4, which is your project, your design project, your coaching design project. You can see some of the standards that you're going to be meeting with that. And excuse me. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. Webinars and MOOCs. One of the hopes is of this course is not only that you'll get information and knowledge through the course, but you'll also get a sense of how to find. There's always new things to learn with teaching, new things to learn with technology, and so you're going to be doing one webinar outside this course, which is essentially just a 1 to 2 hour experience, and you're going to be reviewing one MOOC, which is a massively open online course, and it's quite a bit of a buzzword in higher education, but things in higher education often do trickle down in some way to K-12, and so If you don't know much about MOOCs, you'll learn more about them in this class. And then these are just your activities around classroom design and computer infrastructure, and then there's a class participation grade. So that's essentially the syllabus in the course. You can read through this. I can see going through this right now, I've got to do some edits on the syllabus, so I'll be reposting that to get the activity numbers right. And I'm very excited about the new semester and about this course. And I look forward to getting to know you better, and we'll see you soon. Bye.